Yes, it's a Smurf. To be more precisely, it's a Smurf piggyback rider. This was a favorite toy of my kids when they were little. Unfortunately, they loved it so much that the wheels fell off. So I'm going to be making some new wheels and taking the old ones off their axles and see how this goes. So before I can put some new wheels on, I'm going to need to get the existing wheels off. Looks like they're being held on by these 1/4-inch cap nuts. So I'm just going to get a vice grip in here to hold the axle. So just get it close, then I'll loosen it up and get it really tight. I have new cap nuts to replace these existing ones, so I'm not going to try and save them. It's just a matter of get a good grip on the axle and then start twisting and spinning until the cap nut comes off. So can't seem to get a good grip with the pliers, so I'll try and just hold on to it tight with the vice grip and lever it off. So on the axle there's a little groove that this kind of screws into. There. And we've pulled off the cap nut, and obviously it's not going back on like that. But we can see how there's a little groove in here that it gets held onto the axle. So now that we can get this wheel off and the other wheel off, I can measure the wheels, make some new wheels, and then put 4 new wheels on with new cap nuts. So now that I've pulled both sets of wheels off, I've been able to pull off the cap nut on both ends and gone to the hardware store, and for 43 cents at True Value I can get a brand new 1/4-inch cap nut to replace the ones that are missing. So taking a look at these wheels, they were injection molded because in the 80s when the Smurf was made, it was just how cheap can we make it. So you have all these supporting pieces so you can use as little plastic as possible. Taking a quick measurement of where these are at, we have, seems like 7 millimeters here for the axle, which is 1/4-inch is 6.3 millimeters, but looks like these wheels are about 7 if I carefully adjust where they're at. Looks like about 7 will be about right. The overall size of them doing this all in metric because it'll just be easier with my 3D printer. So I have 103 millimeters right now for the existing outer size of the wheel. And I thought I'd make them a little bit bigger, a little bit thicker. One of the things where this failed is with years of kids rolling on it, you know, this plastic has gotten thinner, so I think it probably was a little bit bigger than the 103 that it is now. So I'm just gonna round that up to 108 millimeters so that it's just a little over 4 inches, and leave just, you know, a little bit larger than a 1/4 inch and make 7 millimeter shaft. Gonna probably draw these up in Fusion 360 and then print them out on my Anycubic i3 3D printer in red and see how that goes. So now that we've designed the wheel in Fusion 360, it's time to copy it over to the printer and let the printer go for the next 8 hours. It will melt plastic and deposit it onto the base and build it up one layer at a time until we have our wheel.
Eight hours later.
So 8 hours later and we have a completed wheel. Now we just need to print out 3 more and put them back on the Smurf. So after some time relearning Fusion 360 and replacing the power supply in my 3D printer and ordering some red filament off of Amazon, I've printed out 4 replacement Smurf wheels. Hopefully those will go back on the Smurf and we'll be able to get it back in action. So, a defining characteristic of a wheel is that it's round, and while when they came out of the 3D printer they're mostly round, there's a few rough edges. There's a little bump right there. It's kind of hard to see in the camera. So I took a 1/4 inch bolt and put a nut on it, and I'm going to put it in the drill and sand down the wheel with some 240 grit sandpaper. So now that we've put these spacers on so that the wheels are centered, we can put the wheels back on. And I didn't take the cap nut off the other side, so I only have one to replace on each side. Okay, so now I just need to put the cap nut on. I've put a block of wood on the bottom, so I'm not tapping this into my leg. And there's a small groove in the axle here for the cap nut to lock onto. So now I just need to put the cap nut over the axle. And this is a 1/4 inch cap nut, and I found that grabbing a 5/16 socket will hold it so that you can keep it straight. And then you're pounding on the outside lip. And now it's locked into place. And that gets, now I just need to do the other axle. So now that I have all 4 wheels on, the Smurf is all ready to go for a surprise Christmas present for my new niece. You may ask yourself, why repair a 40-year-old Smurf that has certainly seen better days? Well, my wife's youngest brother, back in the 80s when he was small, received this Smurf and played on it when he was little. My wife's parents kept it in their basement for years, and when my oldest son was born, he loved playing on it so much that we were gifted with the Smurf, and my two boys and my daughter all played on the Smurf, and they played with it so much that they wore the paint off and wore the wheels down until a wheel fell off. And so now, in a couple of weeks, my wife's youngest brother is going to have his own daughter soon, and I figured it was time to repair the Smurf and hand down the Smurf, because it's more than just an object. It's a collection of all the memories of all the kids that played with that toy, and all the times that we remember, particularly the sound of the wheels going down across the kitchen floor, going clack, 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 clack. So once again, if you like this content, please click like and subscribe so that you can find out when I publish more content. Thanks again.